Well, sisters, it's that time again. Time for some
Ting news updates.
exciting news updates, obviously. So the first exciting news update, I walked on a lake.
This is how far I am from the shore. I'm that far away from the shore.
Now I know probably some of the people watching this have walked on all sorts of lakes, but sisters, as far as I know, neither of you has ever walked on a lake. And I had certainly never walked on a lake before last week, but now I have. It's a pretty big lake, at least as far as, my experience with walking on lakes goes. And there were people ice fishing on it. We found some ice fishing holes. I was pretty nervous at first, as you can see.
I'm about to step out onto this frozen lake. I'm walking on a lake. It's crazy. What am I doing? I don't know.
At first it was pretty scary, but eventually you kind of got used to the fact that the slowness of the top couple layers of molecules was all that was keeping you from drowning. Most of the ice fishing holes were frozen over a little bit by the time that we got to them, but at one point we found an ice fishing hole that hadn't frozen over yet, and so you could actually reach into the water itself. And we'd been wondering how thick the ice was, as you are wont to do when your entire life depends on it continuing to support you. So this one guy stuck his hand in there and he felt the ice, and it was about this thick. And then I was like, I want to stick my hand in and feel the ice. And so I did. And then we got into kind of a contest about who could keep their hand in the longest and who could stick it in the furthest. Then a little bit later we came across these buoys that were frozen into the lake. They said swim area on them because when the lake wasn't frozen, that was what they were marking off. So I asked if someone would take a picture of me next to the frozen in swimming buoy. And then somebody was like, extra points if you lay down on the ice and pretend to swim. And I was like, sure, I could do that. It was pretty chilly because, as you can see, there was a slight layer of melted water, which was just above freezing, that I was swimming in. On the plus side, I was thereby declared the winner of that particular experience, and I won this bear. Exciting news update number 2. I'm a teacher! I mean, not exactly, I'm still just a substitute teacher. I got this longer term substituting job that's gonna go on for like a week and a half. And not only do I get to teach a class of state history, but I'm also teaching The Great Gatsby. I have to admit I hadn't actually read The Great Gatsby since 11th grade, but on the first day of the substituting job, which I didn't actually know was the first day because I thought it was just gonna be a one-day job, I saw it on the desk and I was like, oh, I haven't read that since 11th grade. I wonder if it's anything like I remember it. So I started reading and I realized I didn't actually remember much about it at all. Pretty much I remember the giant eyes because that's what everyone remembers. And I realized that between the vocabulary and the cultural references from the 1920s, it's actually pretty inaccessible to, 16, 17-year-olds. Like, I consider myself a pretty astute reader and I had a pretty awesome 11th grade English teacher, but I'm pretty sure I didn't actually get anything of what this book is about the first time that I read it. But I get it now, and I was talking to my 11th grade English teacher and admitting to him that I didn't think I'd actually gotten much out of the books that we'd read while I was in his class, and I also pointed out that I didn't actually think high school students were equipped to understand those books. They just don't have the vocabulary for it, they don't have the life experience, and he actually agreed with me. So then I was like, well, why do we have kids read these books at that time? Because they just get frustrated and then they decide they hate the book and it's totally stupid and they're never gonna read it again. And he said, yeah, sometimes that happens and that's unfortunate, but he still thinks it's worthwhile for kids to read those books because it's only by going through the process of trying to understand this that you learn the skills that can allow you later in life to understand this book or some other book like it. So anyway, that's the assumption I'm making as I press on and try to teach this book. I'm really having a blast with it. Friday was my first day going through the book and I encountered a couple of pretty awesome teaching moments.